tour of my converted ambulance. The base of my van is a 2004 Mercedes Sprinter. It's the 416 on a mid-wheelbase chassis with the 2.7 litre engine and the sprint shift semi-automatic gearbox, which is terrible. It was built by a company in England who specialise in building ambulances and emergency vehicles, and it was being used for medical purposes right up until I bought it when the rear tail lift broke. That's the reason they sold it on to me. I wasn't allowed to keep the lights or the siren. When I got the van, all the where the lights were and the siren was just holes, so I've just covered them up with plastic. So the paintwork's pretty shot. I hand rolled it because I knew I was going to smack it off trees and stuff around here, so if it gets too bad, starts going back to yellow, I've got the tin in the back and I just roll it back in. Dents in that, it's fine, I ain't too fussed about them. Just like to add as well, I mean I am pretty short, but I'm not this short. It's on a pretty big ramp, so it makes me look like a hobbit. On the back we've got the spare wheel, fuel can, that panel comes off once the padlock's off, and then you can get up to the ladder. And then inside it's water tank, which is pretty low at the minute, washing up bits, spares and tools. The ladder started life as a tiling ladder for roofs. I just cut it down to the size I needed, modified the top a little bit and moved where the brackets were. Cupboard next to the side door holds the back of the shower and all the plumbing underneath, toilet, chemicals and washing bits and all sorts. And the hose. Managed to get an adapter from the pipe work for the camper van to an actual hose pipe, so I have a hose. I can wash the dog. Lance, come here. So this side we've got the two underslung compartments and then the one on the side there with the door. This one we've got paints, spare bits, spare light lens in the back there, blowtorch, some lubricants and engine stuff. And then over here we've got shovel, tracks which you can see I've used for getting out, tow rope also used, is the gas locker. So it's got the electrical hookup for when I'm at campsite. And down here we've got the propane tank, spare paint which I need to use to retouch in some of this shit. That's what's going on in there. The roof, hope you can hear me because it's pretty windy up here. We've got the big dirty light bar which comes in really handy on short dark roads, my solar panel, my bike which hasn't actually come off the roof yet and is getting a little rusty, the chimney for the log burner, and then this tube. It was originally going to be a rain collector and extra water storage for the shower. I've got as far as putting it on the roof. That's another job to finish at some point. Originally this had a fold down step, but it was really heavy and it was a real ball ache. When you were in the van you couldn't reach it, so I took all that out, panelled it in and put the step. This also hooks up to the ignition, so once you turn the key, no matter what, it will go in, so you've never got it hanging out. Okay, moving on to the inside of the van then. Completely off grid at the minute, so the van's running to charge up all the batteries. So this is the kitchen, small but it does its job. All of this was originally a unit that was here. It was about double the size, so I just ripped it all apart, rejigged it, put bits where I needed it and slid it over here and then built up from there. This panel slides up, so you've got like a worktop there. Up here we've got the herbs and spices, salt, pepper and all that kind of stuff. Not that I know how to use any of that. I don't know how to cook yet, but that's one of my aims on this journey, to try and learn how to cook. It's the fridge, and I really need to go shopping. We've got wine rack, got the cutlery and all sorts of kitchen bits in here. Again, that was an original cupboard, I just reused it. Tea, coffee and all that kind of stuff up here. Random crap in this one, I just chuck stuff in that. Up top we've got the microwave going over the cab, the aircon's behind there as well, internet dongle, This is a control panel that does all the speaker mute and diesel heater and all sorts of bits, door locks. Lift up this panel, yeah, I like to point out most of this wasn't me. This was as it was, and it's that much of a spaghetti mess. I've left it alone. It's like a very delicate ecosystem. You just leave it be. This corner we've got the fire extinguisher for emergencies, the more important emergency JD and Coke, and the blackboard, which used to be a whiteboard, but I just sprayed it in chalk paint because the black theme in here. In here is my toilet. It's got the shower and the toilet, and you can sit and have a crap and a shower at the same time, and it's delightful. A friend of mine used to come down quite regular as I was building the van, and one day he nabbed a bit of scrap wood and started whittling, and he did so for the next couple of times he visited until he made this little man. LED strips running down the van, and they're hooked up to a changer so they can do all sorts of different bits. So down here we've got kitchen stuff, dog bits, food, cosmetics and like underwear, trousers, stuff like that. This one is jumpers and t-shirts, all the kitchen utensils, cups and that, and then more food, tin stuff, pasta, rice. Vents for the diesel heater down here, and the inlet in the corner where Lance's arse is. I tend to use the log burner over the diesel heater. It's just, it seems to warm the room up a lot nicer. It's a lot nicer heat. This thing is amazing. It just keeps me warm right through the night. I've cleaned today, so as you can see it's all full of tissue rolls and bits of paper and stuff. I tend to burn all the cardboard in it, use that as kindling. On the side we've got the airflow gauge. On the bottom I've got the aluminium. On the wall it's spaced off, get my hands behind it, so it creates some ventilation, doesn't burn the back wall. And then up into the top there's another thick sheet of aluminium, and then it goes into a heat shield wrap kind of stuff, like you'd put on exhausts, until it gets outside the van, and then it goes to a special cowling. I smacked the chimney off a tree not too long ago, so it's all bent out of shape, but I've managed to get it fairly straight again, so it's working. Below the log burner is my wood storage, the axe and the setup for the table, which clicks into the floor there, and my bookshelf. At the minute it's a pretty crap collection, to be honest, but I've got a whole other row to fill up, so any suggestions, let me know. This is the bin. I'm not going to really go into too much detail with that. It's a bin, but there it is. The all-important TV. To be fair, I don't actually use it that much. I tend to use the laptop. I've got a little shelf there, and when I'm just parked up in the wilderness like I am now, I just tend to have the screen on that, save the 240 volt. PS4, again, tend to use that mainly when I'm hooked up. And then above that weird glowing thing, that's the batteries for the drone. In this corner is my wardrobe. There's not a lot on it because I'm not a stylish guy. Turn my sofa into the bed, just pull this bit forward. That's also the hatch to get under when it's back there. And then this cushion comes out and slots in there, and that's my bed. Put a bed sheet over it, get the pillows out and the duvet, and it's done. Above the bed I've got a little bedside shelf, putting a cup of tea and that on. This is mainly paperwork and random bits, more that's like camera, electronical crap. And my survival cupboard. All the windows used to have blinds built into them, but they're all rusty and they were kind of like the twist ones. Looked a bit too clinical, so I took them out, and we've got just your standard blackout blinds now. and much better views. Finally going through the cab door into, oh bollocks, I've left it all messy. We have the cab. Nothing overly special in here really, except the odd ambulance bit. So got the old emergency light bits here, they still kind of light up. They don't do anything unfortunately, but yeah, interesting to have. Above I've got my compressor to pump the air suspension, the zombie lights, the rear lights, and the light bar on the front. The worst thing in the world. And this, they did take the siren out, so I put in another one. Because I'm a massive nerd. The reversing camera screen, which is on all the time, I've turned it to like an electronic mirror, which comes in quite handy. Lamp, it don't work, forgot to get a bulb. CCTV and another extinguisher, just in case. All the electrical gubbins, so got the battery charger, split charge system, got regulators down here so I can see what the batteries are doing, and behind the seat is my 1500 watt sine wave inverter, which does all the 12 volt to 230 volts. See some of my classic laziness. Where the door closes, I didn't paint it, so it's still yellow and minging. I think my excuse at the time was, oh, it's covered in oil so the paint won't stick. Not, oh, I should clean the oil so the paint will stick. That is vlog 3 from Project Amber. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.